Welcome, everybody. Hey, it's Leah Ray from ToddandLeahRay.com, and I have a special treat for you today. I have the pleasure of knowing our dear friend, Will. He is doing some really unique stuff, making money from home on Fiverr, and I thought it'd be a really good example of thinking outside of the box, doing something a little different, using your natural skill set, and being able to create either some side hustle or just financial freedom and just working from home. So thank you so much for being with us here today, Will.
Hey, thank you so much, Leah. It's an absolute pleasure here to talk to you about this.
Excellent. Well, now in that little excerpt of him speaking, you may have noticed he's got a great voice.
Thank you.
He's got an awesome voice, and that is very, very helpful. So on Fiverr, can you give us a little summary of what you're doing on Fiverr?
Well, I've been on Fiverr probably for the last year and a half doing voiceover work, which is one of the many different things that you can do as a freelancer on Fiverr. And I've done several things. Just to give you an up to date where I'm at right now, I'm doing lots of audiobooks. I am doing lots of impressions. That's kind of one of the things that I've been able to do all my whole life is doing impressions, and I've got some nailed down. I'm also doing explainer videos for people. I'm doing different projects, and there's a lot of voice work to be done. And Fiverr has just become this huge traffic site where if you can get yourself noticed on Fiverr, then you can really make some serious money and do some serious damage on Fiverr. So,
well, that's awesome. And I think that's part of what we're seeing in the need for voiceover work is the fact that people are creating so much content. It's in this digital world with all of the stuff that they're doing and their ebooks and audiobooks or just regular books and things that people are creating. Audio now is making a big comeback. We see this in the podcasting world where podcasting kind of faded out for a little bit, and now it's really, really hot because people feel the benefit of not having to be sitting in front of a screen. So being able to do dishes, do laundry, drive in the car, and to still receive great information, people find really valuable. And I think that you're sort of feeling the repercussions of that in what you do, and I think that's awesome. So kind of a fun question, but what are your top 3 impressions?
well, let me just give you. I think I'll even have to do this, right? I'll have to perform here, won't I? Right? So this might even cost you. If you give me on a Fiverr gig, I charge you about $100 for this. But anyway, so. I want to explain this first here, and this might give people some perspective, no matter what they're doing, even if it's voice work or anything else on Fiverr. When I first got on Fiverr and started noticing impressions that were out there, there were 2 ones that really kind of shone big that were really selling. Others weren't, and that would be Donald Trump and for some reason Morgan Freeman. And if you follow all the comedians these days, those are the 2 voices that continue to come up here. You see on you see on Fiverr. So the one that I do that I do consistently and I get a lot on, and that's been probably my biggest success I've gotten is Donald Trump. I've been flown out to Austin, Texas, for an app developer. I got in a really good partnership with another emoji company or something like that, that was doing an app with Donald Trump out in California, and they spent thousands of dollars with me on that. So it's one of those things I had to figure out how to do it because it's very competitive, and I've always done impressions, but I've never really done him. So I just concentrated really hard because I'm good at it because I've done other things. I think my best one that that he's been dead for years is Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect at all. Who are you kidding me, right? I used to work at a pet store. People kept asking how big I get. That, right? So I got Rodney Dangerfield down, but nobody knows Rodney Dangerfield anymore. Unless they've grown up with me. I'm around 46 years old, and he's been dead for years. But the thing that's in now is President Trump. It's on Saturday Night Live. There's a couple of Trump impersonators that are doing it full time. And that's the one that I do. And it's, here's the thing. What we're going to do is going to build a beautiful wall. It's going to be tremendous. Leah, I am going to appoint you as my secretary. You're going to be in charge because you're fantastic and you voted for me. And if you didn't vote for me, you're a complete loser. You're a total disaster. You really, really are. You're not worth it. You're terrible. You're even worse than crooked Hillary, and you're probably crooked yourself. You really are. So, but anyway, so I have that. I think I have one more. And that one has been really weird to do and tough to do is Morgan Freeman. And I could probably do it now because I have a cold, okay? Or I could do it the first thing in the morning when I wake up because his voice is really croaky. And, you think of, I don't know, Shawshank Redemption. When I first saw Andy, I knew right away that he was wet behind the ears and that he was going to be one of those people that wasn't going to make it out of Shawshank Redemption at all. I am Morgan Freeman. Listen to my voice. I fall asleep listening to my voice because it's so beautiful and it takes your breath away. So there you go. There are my 3 impressions that I put together. Thank you. So.
Everybody give me mosquitoes in the comments, guys, because those are awesome. I can see those people saying those things. So that's amazing. So what led you to Fiverr? Like, how did this story begin, if you will?
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Leah, just joining up with you on a couple of different adventures, you and Todd, of some things that you were teaching and were doing. I just really had a hunger and a need to find some extra income online. And I was looking at different things, and I had one guy at work that was telling me that, at one point in time he was off of work and he made money doing Fiverr, and he was kind of a techie guy. And so I asked him about it. I had no clue what it was. And I just decided to join in. And then I decided to dig in and really figure out how it ticks, how to get started. And then it just kind of took off from there. It just became this this creature of its own. And where it went from, my wife was like, oh, here you go on another adventure, doing something that, is not going to make you money, to now we've gone from, and if I can be completely blunt and honest, we've gone from food stamps to the WIC stuff that you get from the government, to being in a position where I've doubled my income. I'm paying taxes this year, which I'm not familiar with, right? I'm usually waiting for this big fat rebate, this big fat lottery check that everybody gets. It's not making enough money, right?
Yeah.
So it's just been a eye-opening experience where, for me, it's been from living to paycheck. Rent is way too high where we are at one point in time. We bought a house. Okay, that's a big step. And where we couldn't afford that, paycheck to paycheck. And then now it's just like we don't worry about those things. We have enough money to play with to fix our houses. We got about 100-year-old house we're fixing up. We're doing all kinds of stuff with that. And we've made some progress with it. So, I mean, that's just kind of been just my significant journey. It's just that desire to get out there and make some extra income and do it on my own terms. And I think also it's just that you realize too, once you start doing these things, you have this passion within you, and you realize that, there's an entrepreneur in there. There always has been. And I think the perfect example that that you're an entrepreneur is that you look at your career and you've just never been satisfied with your job, no matter what job it is, right? And you just felt the need to just be your own person and be your own boss. And that just really just kind of, I think Fiverr set that Fiverr just to really be really serious about voiceover work and make a huge impact with it. So
that is so cool. And I agree with not being satisfied. I have to admit, the longest I ever stayed at any job was 2 years.
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I would get bored. I'd get burnt out and I came to realize that I work too hard to work for anyone else. Like, I am a type A, really, like, I'm a hustler. That's just my nature. I'm a very driven person. And you can really get abused in the workplace when that's your nature. And, I'd get abused. I'd be put in crazy hours, not being paid what I should. And then I'd burn out, and I'm like, okay, what's next? And this entrepreneurial journey is amazing because there's always a next step. There's always something that you can expand and grow and try new things. I mean, Todd and I were about to launch our Amazon FBA business. And for us, we're really excited about that. That is a new adventure. Todd is like the perfect person for it because he's super analytical and all the logistics and the fine tuning stuff that you need to do. So I agree. I think you're totally on par with that. So I'm excited. What I like about what you're doing, I love your journey in the fact and how you were struggling so much. You were trying different things. You were looking for an answer. And when you finally tuned in to your natural abilities, that's when things changed.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And, you realize something too is is that when you finally tap into that, you kind of look at your journey. I mean, I'm in radio, and I've been in radio for a long time, for like 20 years, and it's an industry that is on the decline as far as radio is concerned. If you want to be successful at radio, you need to be in a major market. You need to be in a situation where you're untouchable, and you have to, in order to get to that major market, especially morning radio, you have to be willing to do all kinds of crazy sacrifices, bring your family all across the country to all these different markets to move up, to get noticed, to, and then on top of that, the corporate culture in radio has been on the decline, where places like iHeartRadio and Cumulus, big, huge conglomerates that have owned these radio stations, are budget cutting people left and right. Christmas, and they do it right around Christmas time, which is just wonderful, right? All these different people that are really, and it doesn't matter how good they are in ratings or how well they are, but they're at the, it's just they got budget cut because of the numbers and because of how it's of how it's played out. And and then on top of that too, is that it's a very cutthroat, even on the small markets, which I've learned, it's a very cutthroat, backstabbing environment many times, where people only care about themselves at their own radio station. I'm still working. I'm at a radio station. I found a sweet spot, because I'm at a place where everybody in the building is got a side hustle, right? Because no one's getting paid what they what they'd like to get paid. But on top of that, finding this has just been huge, because I think once you find your passion, if you're trying to work online and there's something you're trying to feel passionate about, something you're trying to feel passionate about, a product you're selling or something that you're putting out there, but once you find that perfect fit of where that all aligns, and you're your own boss doing it, I think that really clicks. And somebody like folks like you and Todd, who believe that, if, the more people you train and you show how to be successful, that's going to come back to you in big ways. And I believe that too. And the funny thing is, it's just like, I started my own Facebook group here with my Fiverr gig syndication group that I have, and a couple of other things just to, give people tips and whatnot. But I'm finding all these people in radio, that it's just like this huge marketplace of all these people in radio that are really super talented, that have been budget cut, that are not happy, that have played with voiceover, and they have not been successful. So those types of things just really just play into that as well. So
I think that's awesome, because the marketplace is changing like drastically, and you're not sitting back just having it happen to you, right? You've adjusted, you've shifted, and you've brought yourself online. And I think I actually heard a podcast recently of a gentleman who was in a similar situation doing tech reviews on TV. Well, that world is gone. Like it has died, and YouTube is key. And he saw that about 7 years ago or something. And he left television, shifted onto building his YouTube presence, and now he's incredibly successful. And so understanding where we're headed and adjusting is awesome. And I love to see that. And so you're adjusting to the overall corporate world of radio and voice and everything else, which is awesome. But something that you mentioned at the beginning of the interview too, which I think is key to notice, is that you've adjusted what your primary offerings are based on the marketplace.
Right.
Because if you went out there to Fiverr and you just promoted yourself as this Rodney Dangerfield guy, right? Your market share would be way, way smaller, because, maybe you'll sing some happy birthday songs to some older people,
Absolutely.
That's it. Versus seeing what's happening now and capitalizing on it. I think there's a strong lesson to be learned in that.
Well, and I think, now that you brought that up here, Leah, I think it's key too here with freelance sites, and there's a lot of them out there. I mean, Fiverr is just one of them. You have Upwork, which is another one that's a big deal. If you're doing audiobooks, ACX is one, and a couple of other different places out there that do freelance. I think Voice Bunny is another one. But the key too is that instead of going in there with your preconceived notions of what you think you're able to offer and sell, is to go and see how these websites are constructed, how they're put together, what is happening out there, and adjust, like you said, adjust to them. So it's not, so when I set up what they call a gig on Fiverr, I'm looking at keywords. I'm finding out, what gigs are the most popular, what gigs are the most sought after and searched after. And I'm easily able to do it on Fiverr, figuring out their search engines and just looking at other gigs and finding out what's up. It's very, very easy to do. And so what I do is I take my talents and ability, and then I try to marry the two with that freelance site, and then that just puts me in the sweet spot. So I find out what people are looking for, and then I say, okay, how can my talents and abilities help this right here? And who are my? And the other great thing I like about this, because being in radio for 20 years, I have a competitive nature. I've been in very many situations where we're going up against the guys across town, and you're very competitive, and that drives you. Mm-hmm. But in the same way, Fiverr drives you too, because you're competing against all these other voice talents that are out there, hundreds and thousands of them. How do you stand out? And I go up against 20 different people that are all impersonating Morgan Freeman. I mean, or they're all impersonating Donald Trump or whatever. So I've got to, I'm not trying to copy them, but I'm trying to adjust to find out what's the best place I can put myself in order to make that happen. So.
No, I think that's awesome. And yes, using that sort of competition to just better yourself, to learn from each other, and always trying to figure out how to take it to the next step. I think that's a general rule in entrepreneurialism that everyone should be trying to follow is, yes, it's competitive, but use it to just better yourself and try to see what's working for people and then take it further, go further, right. Figure out a way to do it better. And I think that's awesome. So marrying obviously what's going on in the marketplace with your skill set, like you said, is key. Is there anything in particular that and any tips that you would want to give to people on how to stand out on a place like Fiverr when you're offering something like this?
Sure. I think one of the things that's fundamental is you guys have got to put if you are setting up your gig, as they call them, is to look at the videos that they set up here. You need a video of yourself, whether that's you describing something, or it could be one of these still videos of just a picture, and then you can play the video and you can hear the audio of it and give samples of your work. They say that if you do that, you stand out 40% more than other gigs out there. The other part of it too is really doing your due diligence of finding out what other people are doing. I mean, and that's just really simple. It really is finding out how people are set, because you have so many examples to look at and to choose from. Why are these people successful? Why are they making the money they're making? What kind of prices are they putting down? And go from there. And I think another thing, this has been huge, this has been key, is get on Facebook, get in a group, find a group. I have a group, and it's a free group. And I try to give as many tips as I possibly can. I try to do as many live streams there as possibly can of how I've been successful. And I've actually walked people who've been newbies who have sat there on Fiverr for 4, 5, 6 months, have got no orders, and now they're getting orders, and now they're moving up to the next level, and now they're making money. And so, join those types of groups. Those are essential. I think that's even bigger than anything else, is get in a group like that of like-minded people who are learning about those types of things. And it doesn't matter what niche it is. It could be voiceover. It could be other things that are out there on Fiverr. But immerse yourself with like-minded people that are doing the same exact thing you're doing. Doesn't have to be voiceover at all. And learn from them and find people that are giving those tips. Get some training too. I found some great videos and training on different things about Fiverr. Those are easy to find, and some of them are actually fairly, inexpensive to find out, and immerse yourself that way. I think those are some of the tips you do if you're going on a freelance site. Find out, what the successful people are doing and do what they do.
Yes, absolutely. I will completely second that. That's one of the things that Todd and I do all the time. And people think, well, are you copying people or whatever? No, you're analyzing. You look at people who are successful in doing what you want to do, and then you try to reverse engineer it. And why are they successful? Okay, what could we do that they're doing? Awesome, let's do it. And what could we do that's even better than what they're doing? We're always looking at our quote unquote competitors because they're having success. We can build off of that. We can all continue to grow and to get better. And that leads right into what you were saying about connecting with a community. Todd and I are big on this because the world out there, if I was to ask my mom or dad, like what I do, like could they explain what I do? They have no idea. they couldn't tell anyone. They're like, they do something online. That's about all they could probably say. And that's just fine. But you have to connect with communities that can speak your language and that you can grow together. I mean, Todd and I actually we do a phone call with some friends of ours who are successful leaders in this industry of internet marketing, just so we can see, like, so what are you doing? Okay, what's working for you? What struggles do you have? How could I help you with those struggles? How can I serve you and give you some of the lessons that we've learned the hard way so you can avoid that and you can get better. So that is very, very important, no matter what industry. And like you said, he's talking specifically voiceover, but this could be website development. Right. This could be graphic design. This could be, we actually have a friend of ours, Lisa Torres, who some of you guys may have heard of. I know Will has heard of.
I'm a big fan of Lisa Torres.
Lisa's awesome. Did you ever hear that before when she got laid off of her job, before her business took off, she was on Fiverr. She didn't have any specific skills like Will has that she could think of. So she dressed up as a clown and she offered to sing people happy birthday songs for their birthday. And she sold that as a gig on Fiverr, and just to get extra cash coming in so she didn't have to go back to work. And that's an entrepreneurial mind. That's thinking, absolutely. I could not do it if I would die. Like, we would starve if our money depended on me doing impressions of people. So,
I will teach you from beginning to end. You'll be perfect.
Okay. Awesome. But, so I know that that's not my thing, but if you struggle, there's always something. You could dress up like a clown and sing happy birthday.
Right. That's right.
That's fabulous. There's always something that people would want. And just to think outside that box, to see what's happening in the marketplace, to get ahead of the game. It's beautiful. I'm really excited with what you've created in the small amount of time that you have, and how you're giving back to that same community that you're teaching and you're developing other people who are looking to do the same, and helping shift a very old industry into the new era, the digital era. I think that's awesome.
And this is, you could probably attest to this too, Leah, is that I think I think the biggest stumbling block and problem that people run into is that, when they start, doing things on freelance or and you probably experienced this when you have worked with network marketers before, is that there's an old school way of doing it. And a lot of people are still trained in the old school way of doing things and not understanding the new 21st century. And they are stuck in the 20th century. And I found that in particular with voice work. And there is a big battle going on right now. And I don't want to get too in the weeds with this with you, but there have been gatekeepers in the voiceover industry that, it's all dependent on, you going through them in order to be successful. And this whole idea of freelance, Fiverr's a perfect example. They're a huge giant now. They're all over. They have 6, 7, or 8, 10 corporate offices all over the world. I mean, they're just a monster. And these people don't know how to deal with this. And they keep telling you, no, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. And it's just like, no, okay, that's nice. I'm going to go ahead and make, $30,000 this year on Fiverr instead of spending $30,000 on your courses that I could probably find on YouTube that don't teach me anything new. Right. So, I mean, that's the thing too, is that one of the phrases, and I'm just going to quote this person right here. His name is Earl Hall, who's one of my mentors, who's a voiceover mentor. He says, stop giving yourself permission to succeed. And that just kind of hit me. And it's almost like, I don't need all these courses. I don't need all these things that I have to do and all these people that I have to teach. I don't have to necessarily go to a college level course to get to this level. All right. I can get to this level figuring it out myself. And if I need help along the way, I'll find it. All right. But this idea that I can't do all these things unless I reach this level that I don't know, where it is or somebody's training or something. It's just, so part of that is just go out there and do it. And fight for it. And once you reach a roadblock, and once you find yourself at a plateau, okay, then what is the next step? Who's successful at doing this and how are they doing it versus listening to these 20th century voices that are outdated. And there's a lot out there, and you could probably attest to that in network marketing, obviously, but it's in every industry. And I'll just give you some highlights here just to kind of pump Fiverr here. There's one lady that made $1 million last year on Fiverr. It wasn't voice work. It was she had HR experience. It's just basically, giving people tips on their resumes. But she has just built this, and she's shown up on Fortune magazine. There's a couple of other people that are, consistent. There's tons of people actually now. It's kind of a trend is that, $10,000 a month is pretty common on Fiverr, and there's a way to do that. There's a process of making that happen. I'm still learning about that process. I'm not there yet, but I want to get there. That's my goal. That's my plan. But like I said, there's a lot of old school voices, and I want to quote him because it's kind of his quote. Is Earl Hall says, "Stop giving yourself permission to succeed. Just go out and do it." Yeah, basically. So
absolutely, that is if I could just put a seal on that, that's perfect. Because so many times people have, well, I can't do this. I'm not successful yet, or right. And like with video is a very, very powerful platform. If people don't have traffic to their offer, what they're doing, get on YouTube, figure out how to create some videos, do some minor search engine stuff, and create content. People, well, I can't do that. It's just, I don't know what to do. I'm not successful yet. I don't have this. I don't have that. You're not going to be unless you do it. Like, you figure it out. I look back at our earliest videos are horrible. They're ridiculously bad. And that's okay because we didn't have a massive following when they were doing them. You want to suck before people pay attention to you. Right. Get that sucky phase out of the way first. Right. And then, you're going to continue to grow. But you're not going to get better just sticking in the theory and the knowledge side of things. Mm-hmm. You have to get your hands in it and just do it. And you're going to get better and better and keep growing. And like you were saying about, you will hit roadblocks, you will hit challenges, but then looking at who's past that, who's figured it out. Awesome. Let's go learn from them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whether that's some of their free stuff, whether that's doing some mentorship or coaching, whether that's some of their paid courses, whatever it is, right. But just, okay, awesome. So you got that down. Let's rock and roll. And Todd and I have done this a lot with having business coaches for us. Is that, okay, like when we first got started, we didn't have a clue what to do. Okay, so we hired a coach. He got us going. Okay, thanks. We're going now. We know what to do. And so we stopped that coaching relationship and we just worked on doing what we needed to do. We got to another level. I'm like, okay, now we need help to take it further. We need help to do that. So awesome. So we hired a coach and he took us from, 5 figures a month to 6 figures a month. And so knowing that, get those steps that you need and then just get to work. And then you'll hit another plateau, you'll hit a bump in the road, and that's when you need to take it, get a coach, get some training, do whatever you need to go further. So I think that's awesome. I think there are some massive gold nuggets for everyone watching this today. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Are there any last words or things you want to leave folks with today?
Yeah, like I said, I think you've hit all the right buttons here, Leah. And that's the thing. Just realize that you're in the 21st century. And don't be afraid, just eliminate that fear. And, your example, I think a video is a perfect example for me. Is a lot of times I feel like, I can't do video because I'm not that talented at it. But the truth is, if you just spend a little bit of time diving into the software, you're going to find out that, a lot of this stuff is really pre-made for you and it's very user friendly. So just, go forth and do not be fearful. Erase it from your mindset and go and be passionate about it. Find your passion of what you do and your abilities, marry them together and you can't stop. You're unstoppable. That's my thoughts here for you. So, well, congratulations on all your success. How can people find you on Fiverr if they want to do something fun with you? It is all one word. Fiverr's, you know what? Google Donald Trump, search Donald Trump. You'll find me. All right. Seriously. You will find me. Because the thing is that, the way Fiverr works is not so much you search your name. It's just that you'll find yourself easier searching your gig. So if you search Donald Trump, you'll find me. But it's all one word. It's Will Stauff, all one word, WILLSTAUFF. But at the same time, like I said, go ahead and search Donald Trump. You'll find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Guys, go look him up on Fiverr and just give him a big congratulations on figuring this stuff out and making it happen. Thank you so much, Will.
Hey, thank you so much, Leah. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.